Hello and welcome to Team Liquid's boss overview series for Manaforge Omega. I'm Aya, and today we're taking a look at the Dimensius encounter on normal and heroic difficulty. Dimensius is a 3-phase encounter. You'll start by fighting the boss on a platform, then enter a phase 2 featuring skywriting to 2 platforms and handling mini bosses on each, then finally face Dimensius in the center of a circular room. Normal and heroic follow the same basic cadence, but one very notable difference is that on heroic, you'll really want a Death Knight or 2 to death grip some adds during phase 2. Now, let's break down this encounter. Start by splitting your raid into a left and a right team, and use your extra action button to use the corresponding left and right portal to start the fight at the end of your pull timer. One tank should taunt the boss and quickly get to the very middle of the room. Throughout this phase, the active tank will knock back and damage nearby players when hit by the boss, so everyone should avoid the very middle of the room. You'll start by killing off 2 living mass adds which drop excess mass when killed. You need to have these adds dead and excess mass collected by the time the first Devour cast happens, and the 2 players who pick up the excess mass need to meet in the middle of the room to create a safe zone. After this, you'll get a tank mechanic called Massive Smash, which knocks back all players away from the tank. Split your raid back into the left and right teams and have them get knocked to their sides, noting that the magnitude of the knockback is much greater on heroic than on normal. Heroic also causes the spread circles that follow this tank knockback that leave behind gunk on the ground that you'll want to place on the edges of the room to avoid polluting the area you want to use for the rest of the phase. Dark matter then hits your raid for sizable damage, and on heroic leaves behind a dark energy zone that you'll need to soak. Just make sure to wait until after the initial hit to avoid getting one-shot. More living mass adds need to die before the reverse gravity happens. This targets 2 players and launches them, and anyone in the circle around them, up into the air before dragging them towards the boss. Players with excess mass need to stand underneath these players to drag them down to the platform before they hit Dimensius. Note that you can't be targeted by reverse gravity if you have excess mass, but you can pick up the excess mass after being targeted by reverse gravity, which is bad and is something to look out for if you're killing the adds just as the reverse gravity is going out. The second Devour cast will require 4 players with excess mass to come together rather than 2. Thankfully, there are 4 excess mass on each side by now, so just stack with the rest of your side and pop some raid cooldowns to survive the damage. Once you get the boss all the way down to 0, phase 2 begins. Phase 2 starts with a brief skywriting sequence during which you need to avoid some obstacles and fly through some rings. You can spam your dragon riding abilities here, since the rings you fly through will regenerate vigor. After a short flight, you'll land on a platform with a mini boss to kill. There are a few stellar cores off the beaten path that you can pick up while skywriting to deal some bonus damage to the mini-boss once you land. The 2 platforms are pretty much identical, however, the mini-bosses are slightly different. On the first platform, you'll have to deal with a frontal aimed at the tank, while on the second platform, there's an AoE around the ad. On heroic, both of these abilities leave behind a nasty slow and damage zone, so be sure to aim this carefully. These platforms also feature a new ad on heroic, the Null Binders, which need to be gripped under the mini-boss and never allowed to complete their cast, or else your raid will get slowed and take a large dot. Each platform will have a cross of adds spawn. Start in one of these quadrants closer to Dimensius and kill an ad to let you get to the quadrant close to Dimensius. When he winds up, run to the opposite side from the arms he's charging up to be safe, then get as close as possible to him and use movement abilities to avoid getting pushed into the line of adds in the middle. Make sure the mini-boss is dead after the second pushback from the boss, or else it will enrage and wipe you. It's now time to fight Dimensius once again in phase 3. We start with the damage increase while the boss is stunned, a perfect time for all cooldowns and bloodlust. Then the boss will spawn 8 void stars that will slowly orbit for the remainder of the fight. You'll need to hide inside these void stars every time the boss casts Devour, the first of which is early into the phase. Each time this happens, the edge of the room will encroach closer and closer to the boss, and if you ever walk inside the boss's hitbox, you will instantly die. The boss will also cause stars to go supernova. They'll do fall-off damage to the raid and permanently be converted into black holes, which will instantly kill you if you touch them. Throughout the phase, the boss will cast Darkened Sky, which creates 3 novas that spawn into a staggered fashion. You can see which will explode first from the size of the initial circles, and you want to quickly pass through the first as soon as it lands so that you can begin the timer of the debuff it leaves behind. If you get hit by a second nova while you have that debuff, you'll take extra damage, so the idea is to time it such that you pass through the second just as the debuff from the first falls off, and then delay being hit by the third until the debuff from the second has fallen off. Effects that let you blink through an expanding nova are great here, but otherwise you should position next to the first one as it lands and play on the side of the second one. Finally, let's cover tanks. In this phase, like in phase 1, you'll want to not stand on the active tank as Dimensius hits in an AoE around them. From time to time, you'll also have to deal with Cosmic Collapse, which on Heroic will also pull all players 20 yards towards the tank. Have the entire raid make sure that you won't pull them through the boss or a black hole, and move as a group away from the tank. Note that this is the same time that the tanks will swap, so move away from the new tank, not the old one. We hope you found the overview useful. If you have any questions, feedback, or comments, drop them below. Stay tuned for more Manaforge Omega boss guides. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!